Josh, I want to build on this question for you, but you look at the changing interests of our students. It probably started before your class, but more and more we're getting into this world of sports marketing and working for agencies and brands and using sports as a way to differentiate. So looking at your role and your understanding of the industry, what's going to change over the next 10 years?
I think for me, in the media relations category, I think in 20 years you're going to have newspapers and magazines completely wiped out. I think they'll be done. I think in 10 years you're going to start seeing that, if not already. But the way people consume information, the way people consume their advertising, the way it's all, the way that people get their news is going to be completely mobile. I think it's going to be completely digital, and I think the old tried and true of ads in magazines and inserts in newspapers are going to be guns. I think they're going to be completely in the past, and I think that it's already sort of a slow leak in the media world of the air's coming out of the balloon. But I think as our generation becomes the older sort of more influential leaders and the kind of the more the older crowd. No offense to you guys. I think that the ones that are familiar with the digital space, the old school delivery boy on the front doorstep is going to be obsolete, going to be gone.
I did sign up for Facebook about 3 months ago. I go in about once a month, so if I haven't responded and accepted you as a friend, I'll catch up to you. Greg, change, when you look at your role at a powerful institution in college athletics, a place like the University of Tennessee, we got the haves and the have-nots. So 10 years from now, what are we going to be looking at in the world of college athletics?
Yeah,
specifically Division I as you see it there.
Yeah, I think there's two things there. I think you're going to see, and the challenge you have is that all universities, especially in today's funding model, the state's taking more dollars away from the universities so they can function. A lot of universities subsidize their athletic departments. We're probably one of the few at Tennessee, probably Ohio State, Texas, that we're totally self-funded. So I think what you'll see is a lot of schools looking, as they talk about the Big Ten expansion, I think you'll see SEC, other conferences do that because they need the money to be able to fund that. Our expenses, from coaches' salaries to running our venues, all those things are going up exponentially, but our ability to generate new revenue isn't increasing at the same point. So, it's all about money, right now. So I think you'll see, I think the super conference scenario is probably a likely outcome of that. Not so much because it's maybe the optimum thing, but because, we need the TV money. And, the TV money is a double-edged sword because what we're seeing at Tennessee is we've got 100,000 seats in our stadium, and I think, a lot of those seats aren't frankly very good. So for the consumer, is they have flat screen TVs, they've got a comfortable seat in their living room. They're coming out with HD, 3D TVs here in the in the near future, and so we have to continue to find ways to add value to attending our games. We have to make coming to a Tennessee football game a great experience that you can't replicate, in your living room at home. So. It's made us all get better, and that the concessions have got to be better. The band's got to do a better job. We've got to make sure we can distribute our tickets in an efficient way that's convenient for our customers. And so I think, that's really the challenge of college athletics, is that we're going to have consolidation, but our revenue needs are going to still continue to be there. And at the same time, we have the TVs fueling us, but at the same time it might be hurting us in the long run, and that it's creating a great experience for people where they have to decide, do they want to spend $60 and sit in the upper deck in Inland Stadium and watch ants go around on the field, or do they want to stay at home in their living room? So it's it's an interesting time in college athletics, and I think that I think the landscape will look completely different 10 years from now than what it does today because of that.
A number of our students in the audience will be going through interviews for jobs in the next couple of weeks. You look back at your career, you've all been interviewed, and you've interviewed to hire, individuals. And you look at the back of the room, Doc Higgins' interview might have been the most challenging one that you ever had. But what advice would you give our students as simple as you're going into your next interview, here's something you need to think about? Because you see mistakes that are made when you're interviewing students, and you might remember something that worked well for you. So a little bit of interview advice as we get closer to capping up the hour.
We had someone come the other day for an interview. Came in, waiting in our waiting room and looking real nice, a nice suit. Was waiting to meet with our vice president of marketing, and she was carrying a Diet Pepsi with her. And we were owned by Coke, so that was immediately she was done. She had lost the job before she even walked in the room, and so that's a very extreme case. But I would say know who you're talking to, know the company, know what you're trying to get out of it, and be smart about. Don't wear Pumas to a Nike event or a Nike meeting, and don't wear a University of Tennessee lapel pin to a Florida interview. Like, be smart about it. Be common sense and kind of know who you're talking to, what their mission is, who their competitors are, and just have and also know about the product, the brand, or the agency. Our guys always ask, what's your favorite vitamin water? And somebody will say, I like the lemon one. God damn, obviously I have no idea that it's called Multi-V, and that do a little bit of research. Spend 15 minutes on the internet researching articles and know about the company that you're going to interview with and about their situation, and have at least a core or a foundation of information about them.
The lemon one is pretty good. Okay.
I think one of the things I see, Jim, is that when we interview people, is that they kind of use cliches, broad sweeping statements about their ability to do the job. I think you need to find a few kind of bullet points when you go to the interview and quantify your impact. Be able to say, I was selling sponsorships and I took them from here to here. We sold this many tickets, because those are the things that help to differentiate you from somebody else. I like sports. I'm a people person. I communicate well with other things. Those are very broad, general terms that may frankly mean one thing to you and a different thing to me. But when we sit down and look at numbers and we say, okay, you've obviously done this. I feel good that you can come in here and raise money at Tennessee. And I think that the people that are able to do that and communicate that effectively and really briefly to a certain degree are the ones that end up doing better in the job process.
Okay. David, you've interviewed your share of candidates in 10 years.
I'd say it's kind of I'd say don't act like you know everything. There's a good chance that person interviewing, or more than likely that person interviewing you, knows a lot more than you do. Just have some good questions. You're not there just to talk about yourself, but I think I've always been impressed when people ask me good questions. Have 3 or 4 questions that you really truly want to know about what they do, or what direction they're heading, and just the plans for the future. That's one thing I'd say.
Terry, you work for a great organization in the NCAA, but a fair amount of people that are showing up either from internships or new employees, and you've been around the interviews. What interview advice would you give for our students?
I see a lot of what Greg mentioned about people not being specific on what they're going to bring to the job, and being very kind of at the 50,000 level, and that's great, but you need to come in and actually, at least within our organization, you have to hit the ground running from day one, and there isn't a lot of time for training, and there isn't a lot of time to get you up to speed, and so you need to be able to show and show us that you can hit the ground running and start day one, and just telling us that you are a good communicator. Or I think my leadership style is, I lead by example. Okay, well, that really doesn't help anybody when you're trying to determine if they're going to be able to start day one. So be very specific, use your history of things that you have done, and really elaborate from start to finish how you completed a particular project, because it is important to know whether or not you know how to see the forest and the trees. I think a lot of people think you can be one or the other, and quite frankly, I think you need to be both. In this day and age, you got to be able to see where you want to go, but you also need to know how to get there. And in an interview, you've got to be able to communicate that you can do that.